Hey guys, it's Kay. Welcome to the third and final part of how to get a placement. Hopefully the other videos have been really helpful, and if you haven't seen them, the links are right here. And without further ado, let's get into it. Tell me pretty lies, look me in the face, tell me that you love me, even if it's fake, cause I don't fucking care. So for the actual interview, make sure you reread your application, your CV and your cover letter before you actually go. Give yourself a refresher of everything you've written. Also have another look at the job description and everything that they're going to ask to make sure that you have an idea of what you're going into. Research interview questions. So when I was doing this, like, Google is literally your best friend. Like, just Google common interview questions. You'll be surprised that these might be, and most of the case, they are the exact same questions that they'll ask. In fact, I practiced so much that I went to I think I applied for 3 different companies and I got to 3 different interviews. It was getting to the stage where I would go to an interview and they would ask me a question, and most of the time people will go to an interview, they'll get asked a question and they'll be stumped because some of the questions are hard, and if you don't prepare for them, you will literally be like, so they'll be like, so where do you see yourself in 5 years? And if you're not prepared for that, you'll just be like, I want money, I want to be able to feed my family. No, you don't want to answer it that way. You want to have known the question ahead of time so you can prepare your answer. So it was getting to the stage where people would say these kind of questions, and in my head I'll be like, these people think I haven't prepared for this, but secretly I'm about to boss this question. But yeah, so the more practice you have, the more confident you feel, and it will definitely show in your character and like how you present yourself. So definitely Google those common interview questions and practice the correct procedure of answering them. So there's a STAR format. You can look that up yourself and find out the correct way of answering those, but there you go. A very useful tip. So when you find out these common questions, practice with someone. Luckily, I've got my fantastic girlfriend who would literally just sit me down and I'll give her all the questions. I had a list of like 20 common questions that they asked and tried to find some specific ones to place I was going, and she'll just ask me them, and I literally, another thing that helps is actually dress up and so try and make yourself feel like you're actually in the interview room, and then just keep on going through these questions and get someone to film you, or if you don't have anyone, film yourself, because there were times where I would go off to an assessment center and she wouldn't be right there, so I just filmed myself. I asked myself the questions and then filmed myself and see my responses, because a lot of the time maybe you'll be speaking too fast, you take too much time to answer the question, you don't really answer the question properly, you don't have time to think about the question. So the more practice you have actually interacting when somebody asks you a question, the better you'll do in the interview, and legit, it's one of the best tips. So if you've got a girlfriend, boyfriend, practice with them. If you've got mom, dad, brother, practice with someone and do it a lot. So in the actual interview, try your best to make it more of a conversation rather than an interrogation. So it's like you just try and make the interview flow. If they're asking you a question, don't just be like, oh yes, I can do this. Then they ask you another question. Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, I can do this. Yeah, I can do that. Obviously you'll be answering them hopefully a lot better than that, but just try to make it flow a bit more. So if you don't understand the question, like, the worst thing you could do is, if they ask you a question, you don't really fully understand it, you try to piece it together in your head and you just give an answer that has no relevance to what they ask you. Sorry for spitting all the time. Just be like, sorry, I didn't quite understand that, could you repeat it? They will be happy to repeat it. I know you always have that feeling like, oh damn, they're probably judging me, they're like, oh, what a retard, didn't he understand what I said? Like, no. Although they seem intimidating, it's not that bad. They will understand, and they understand the pressure that's on you. Just, it's better to hear the question, think for a bit, just like you ask the question, you think for a bit, and then you answer. That's a good technique. It's actually never a good idea to answer straight away, because you you won't think about what you're saying, and you'll probably stumble upon yourself, which is really bad as well. Another good tip is after the interview, have a couple questions ready to ask them. So just be like, oh, so what's your experience been like with the company? Or how many years have you worked there? Oh, are there any areas of self-development in the company? So what I mean by that is like, sometimes companies will pay for a qualification while you're there. So like there's one called ITIL, that is for process management or change management, and Prince 2, which is for project management. This is for computer systems engineers and IT people, but there may be others for other degrees. Well, I don't know because I don't do them. But yeah, this just generally gives them a good impression that you've actually researched the company and you want to know more. Another tip is be friendly to everyone. This is for the assessment center and the interview. The company I work in now, I did a placement with them before I went to this one in year 11, so it's like a week's thing. And there, one of the people that were kind of taking us around, he kind of conducted a lot of the interviews, and he told us part of the interview process is they'll go up to the guards and and all the other people that kind of help show you around ask how this person was. So even if your interview was amazing and like you were rude to the gatekeeper or you were rude to one of the receptionists, they'll be like, yeah, well, see you later. Like, we're not taking you. So you wouldn't think that, but legit, like as soon as you walk into the building, they are watching you. They are watching you. So be on your best behavior and be friendly with everyone. Yeah, so hopefully those tips have been okay with you. So if you would like to like, subscribe, and share this video, that will be okay with me. See you later.